Parshas Tetzaveh, Tavshin Hey. This week, big week, and we know that it's a big week because we already have the scent of different kugels in here already. We have kugel, we have kegel, we'll have yapchik, we'll have gala. I don't know, it seems like there's a big party happening here tonight. And for good reason, because it's Parshas Tetzaveh, Shabbos Parshas Zachor, and it's the week of Purim. This coming Thursday is going to be Purim, so we have a very happening week this week. Although the subject most on everybody's mind this week is the video of the Chafetz Chaim. So someone asked me tonight, are you going to be speaking about the video of the Chafetz Chaim? I said, you know, one thing the Chafetz Chaim definitely wanted us to do was learn. So we're going to learn. And we're going to speak about the Parshas of Shavua. And we're not going to speak any Lashon Hara while we give the speech, so we're going to make the Chafetz Chaim proud. Plus, I carry his name, so that's all good. So in the previous years that we spoke in Parshas Tetzaveh, we said basically all of the shiurim were on the very beginning of the Parsha, where we discussed the menorah, the oil that was made for the menorah, shemen zayis. So this year, I decided we're going to move on, and we're going to go really toward the end of the Parsha, because we covered a lot of things along the way, but this part of the Parsha, Dafka, we did not speak about yet. And what the Parsha mentions this week at the end is the Parsha of the Mizbeach HaKetoros. And the Pasuk reads as following: the Asisa Mizbeach Miktar Ketoros. And then the Pasuk continues, V'nosato Oisoi Lifnei HaParoches Asher Al Ha'edus Kodesh Kadoshim Hu Lashem. This is the pasuk that talks about that the tzivui to go ahead and make a mizbeach haketoros. And within this pasuk, it talks about the fact that it's lifnei hakaporos. That's where it was situated. Ala edus, and also it's referred to. It's called Kodesh Kadoshim Hu Lashem. The mizbeach haketoros was called Kodesh Kadoshim. So the Nesivos Shalom says that there are really many questions on this parsha of the Mizbeach HaKetoros. Firstly, Nesivos Shalom brings the question of the Ramban. The Ramban asks, why is this parsha of the Mizbeach HaKetoros, why is it said at the end of Parshas Tetzaveh? After we discussed already in Parshas Teruma, we went through all the kelim of the Mishkan. And in this week's Parsha, at the beginning, we discussed the Big Day Kahuna. And then we go ahead and we discuss different Karbonos. And only now, at the end of our Parsha this week, do we go ahead and discuss the Mizbeach HaKetoros. Why isn't it in Parshas Teruma together with all the other Kalim, such as the Shulchan, the Menorah? And that's exactly where the Mizbeach HaKetoros should actually be. Why isn't it there? And we find that the Mizbeach HaKetoros was inside the Mishkan, right? So say it together with all the other Kalim that were situated inside the Mishkan. Another question. It seems from the Pasuk, it seems from the Psukim here that discuss the Mizbeach HaKetoros, that in some way the Ketoros was connected to the Menorah. Because when we talk about it, the Pasuk says, V'hiktir olav Aaron. Aaron would bring on the Mizbeach HaKetoros, Ketoros samim. And then the Pasuk says, Ba'boiker, every morning, Be'hitivoyas haneros, when they would clean out the menorah and prepare the menorah, Yaktirena. That's when they would bring the Ketoros. Uveha'alois Aaron es haneros, Vein or Abayim, when Aaron HaKohen, another time when he would go ahead and light the neiros of the menorah during the time of Bein Arbayim, Yaktirena Ketoros. That's when we bought the Ketoros, Tamid Lifnei Hashem. So we see that when the Torah tells us when to bring the Ketoros, the time frame and the time clock that we use is based around when we dealt with the menorah. And the Pasuk also tells us that the Mizbeach HaKetoros needed to be placed keneged the oroi. Why was that so? Why lifnei hakaporos? Why was it dafka? The pasuk makes it a point to tell us that it's lifnei haparoiches, that's in front of the paroiches. And why also, like we said at the beginning, why is it called kodesh kodashim? What is so special about the Mizbeach HaKetoros? So we asked a bunch of questions, and the Nesivos Shalom begins to answer these questions by bringing a very interesting Klei Yakar. The Klei Yakar elaborates on the difference between the two Mizbechos that we had in the Mishkan. The one Mizbech was Mizbech HaChitzon, Mizbech HaNechoshes, right? Mizbech that was outside. And then there was Mizbech HaKetoros, Mizbech HaZav, which was inside the Mishkan. And the Klei Yakar says that the difference between the Mizbech on the outside and the Mizbech on the inside is that one Mizbech is keneged the guf, and the other Mizbech is keneged the neshama. The Mizbech HaChitzon, says the Klei Yakar, was mechaper on chatoim sheba guf. Because you bring, what do you bring on the Mizbech HaChitzon? You bring a behema. Behema represents gashmias, avera sheba guf, the animalistic part and things that people sometimes do. That is represented by the outside Mizbeach where behemoths were brought. However, says the Klei Yakar, and the Nesivos Shalom adds to it, Nesivos Shalom says, but that is mechaper on avera. But every avera, says the Nesivos Shalom, every chait also has a pagam in the neshama. Every chait that a person does affects the neshama. And on that, a behema, which has no ruach and neshama, a behema cannot be mechaper on that. For that, says the Nesivos Shalom, comes along, and we have the Mizbeach HaKetoros. For the ruchniistic part of an avera that a person does. For the neshama of a person, that the Mizbeach HaChitzon has no shayches. The Ketoros is a reach nichoyach for what? That's a reach nichoyach for the neshama. It's not a gashmiistic thing at all. And that, in that Nesivos Shalom is based on the Klei Yakar that says it was two different types of chatoim. It was two different things that the Mizbeach on the outside and the Mizbeach on the inside represented. Actually, says the Nesivos Shalom, if you look a little further and if you look a little deeper into it, each one of the Kalei HaMishkan had its purpose of kapara. And it was mechaper on different things. But the Mizbeach HaKetoros was only for the neshama. It had no shayches to the guf at all. And it was therefore, says the Nesivos Shalom, therefore the Mizbeach HaKetoros, because it was so totally about the neshama and no part of the guf and no part of gashmias, that's why the pasuk goes ahead and calls it kodesh kodashim. And now we can understand, says the Nesivos Shalom, why the parsha of Mizbeach HaKetoros was written after every other part of the Mishkan. It wasn't in Parshas Truma, and it's not in the beginning of Parshas Tetzaveh either. Now we understand why we wait till the end of our parsha to discuss the Mizbeach HaKetoros. You know why? Because it's the last part of the tahara of a person. It's the last part of tshuva when a person is being metired, themselves. Because first comes the chitzonius. First comes the guf, the avera, the actual action that you did. And then, says the Nesivos Shalom, you continue to work yourself up in madregas. You can continue to work yourself in toward your neshama. So first came the other kelim, and each one of the kelim, like we said, was mechaper on a different part of the person. The menorah, we said, right, for one part of something that a person would do. The shulchan is on the shulchan of a person. We don't have time to look into each thing right now, but suffice it to say that had to do, each keli had to do with a different part of a person. But then came the Mizbeach HaKetoros. That's the tachlis of every yid to finally live a life of kedusha. To reach the level of kedusha, that is the tachlis of every yid, and that's the last thing. That's the highest madrega. That's why we wait till the end of our parsha to talk about the Mizbeach HaKetoros. Therefore, the Mizbeach HaKetoros, we said, was keneged Aaron, keneged the kaporos, because it had the most prominent place, because we're discussing a person watching out and looking out and keeping your neshama holy, that takes precedence. That has the most holy place. That has the most prominent place in the Mishkan. And then we said that there's a connection, it seems from the Psukim, between the Ketores and the menorah. And you know what that connection is? The menorah, we know, was there to light up Klal Yisrael with what? With the light of the Shekhinah, with the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Nesivos Shalom, in order for a person, we just said Mizbeach HaKetores, that you have to, the Mizbeach HaKetores was the highest madrega, because that came to be mechaper on a person's neshama. But you know how you work on your neshamas. Nesivos Shalom says there's one way only, and that is you're focused on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you're focused on the light of Hashem, and the menorah, the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was a preparation for the kapara of the Mizbeach HaKetores. Because without HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you could think that you want to be Matari your neshama. You could have in mind to be Matari your neshama. But there's no kedusha, there's no tahara unless it's based fundamentally on the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that is why when we say where to put the Mizbeach HaKetores, all the GPS points, all the directions say it should be, do it when they're lighting the menorah, around the menorah, near, at the time of the menorah. The whole time frame is based on the menorah. And the menorah was that light in the morning and the night. In the morning we prepared it, and at night we lit the menorah. So too the Ketores. Just like the menorah is a constant, we're always working on it. We're lighting it. We're preparing it. We're always doing things around the menorah. When your ruchnius that you work on every person, it's not something you can do piecemeal. A little bit today. We'll get back to it next week. Maybe after Purim. Maybe after Pesach. Like the menorah, Tamid. It had to be something constant, and therefore you have the menorah and the Mizbeach HaKetores together because they represent the same idea. And you know, you think about it, we spoke about this in previous years, the unbelievably high madrega that this week brings us, the week of Purim. Like we say, it's called Yom Kippurim. You know, we say that it's not the other way around. In other words, what we're basing it on is Purim. Yom Kippur is Yom Kippurim. Is a day like the holiness. A person could reach and come so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we talk about a person wanting to work on their ruchnias, wanting to look back on their lives and say, okay, you know, whatever I did till now, I want to be better. I want to raise my madrega. I don't want to be the same person in ruchnias as I was last year Purim, or this past Yom Kippur, which is already a few months ago. I want to become a new person. I want to elevate myself. I don't want to be... Purim is not just about... It's about being happy, but it's not about hoyless. It's not about being crazy. It's not about embarrassing yourself and making everybody else in your house crazy and vomiting on everybody. You might think that that's part of Purim. The part of Purim that we're supposed to be focused on is the part of ruchnius, is the part of growing. And that is another juxtaposition. That is another reason why it works out perfectly. The menorah, it's based on where the menorah is. It's based on how we do the menorah. It's the Mizbeach HaKetores. It's about your neshama. And so is this week of Purim. So is Purim. Purim is everything about ruchnius. Yes, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of gashmias. But we have a ruchnius packed week over here. I want to wish everybody, I don't know exactly what we're going to say our next year. Sometime around Purim, either the day before, the day after, we're somehow going to get online. Purim is next Thursday. Those of you in Eretz Yisrael are going to be waiting for it. In Yerushalayim, and those in Yerushalayim are going to have their Purim on Friday. But we want to wish everybody a Felos of Purim, a good Shabbos, a good Shalom Parshas Tetzaveh, Parshas Zachor, and Shataka be a Felos of Purim and an Aruchnius